Today we're going to be talking about thinking about data from another point of view. And I've always talked about big data with a y-axis being all the ways you can measure, especially in digital devices like a smartphone. If you have a smartphone here, like I have right here, if we have a little smartphone, it's capturing all this data about you all the time, right? On this x-axis, and on the y-axis, maybe your photo sets, it may be your heart rate, it may be your GPS movement, specifically on apps, like how you're scrolling, what you're looking at for how long, what's in the stuff that you're looking at, and then creating data sets off of the time that you use to do those things. And then the z-axis is everybody has a phone, and then big data is where you're able to crunch all the data interactions, everybody's GPS, what everybody's scrolling through at this time. And so what I wanted to do was kind of think past that. And so I'm I'm having a hard time doing it, to be honest with y'all, in terms of understanding how to explain it. And so what I've been doing is I've been working on a really crude way of explaining it. So as you can see, I have this huge spreadsheet. Let's zoom in for a second, right? Like let's make it so you can see it. And I'm going to actually zoom in just a little more. Okay. So as you see here, I have a 5-year plot over time. So we have this a new x-axis, right? And the y-axes are generations of people. So if you were born between 1900 and 1909, 10 to 19, all the way over for 110 years, right? Oh, we got to fix this one. This should say 2019. And then I have a color key here, which I should probably just put the colors in. But we've got green representing childhood, blue representing adolescence, orange representing parenthood, and yellow representing grandparenthood. And I picked this kind of paternal approach just because I feel like these are really, I guess, like poignant parts of human existence, right? Like in order for us to exist, we typically have these 4 stages, definitely the first 3 stages, right? And there are experiences that over our lifetime we see all around us. And I started this off of gaming, but it can be applied to anything. It's we applied to popular culture, to medicine, all kinds of stuff. So let's talk about it for a second. So why is this kind of different than what I was talking about with big data before? Well, if we look here, we see we can always go back, by the way, like there were grandparents in this time, there were adolescents in this time, but I had to pick somewhere to start. And so let's go over to, actually, let's see, can I keep this row, lock it? I'm trying to remember how to lock this row. I'll worry about it later. Let's see here, freeze column. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So if we come over to modern time, right? 2020, we see that, people that were born in the 1900s, most have passed away, right? And we see this arc here and this information of these generations. And of course, it's messy and it's nuanced because it's not like these are hard starts and stops. I would look at this more of a gradient. This is the best I could do right now for my idea. So if we look at 2020, and we see we have, children that were born in the last 3 years are going to be, children. And then we have adolescents and early adulthood being born roughly 2005, 2000 to 2005. and some of them are going into parenthood. I know, you can imagine that. Then we have other people that are into parenthood, other grandparents and alike. And so you might be saying, okay, so what's useful about looking at ages this way and generational meaning? So for me, like if we were to pick, let me think of something fun. If we were to pick music, right? And let's pick radio, for example. Well, we know roughly that in popular culture, AM radio was pretty popular in the 1930s through the 1950s, and FM started taking off around the 1960s. Yes, it was invented much earlier, but in terms of popular culture, the 1960s was when FM took off. So if we wanted to plot that out, we could come over here and create a line here and say this is AM, right? And then this was FM, and FM lasted. It's still around today, but in terms of popular culture, it lasted till about 2015, right? If we ask a millennial, if we ask someone in today what FM is to them and what AM is to them, we can see like who may be able to answer it in that they experienced it, right? And who's going to be answering it in that it's in popular culture or something that they saw in a movie, right? Same thing for different types of television experiences, whether it was UHF or VHF, cable television, satellite television, streaming, right? So when streaming became very popular here, we have generations that have experienced it. Now, one of the things about like streaming television, like Netflix and Hulu and Max and all those other formats, Disney Plus, is I believe that in your childhood here, you have formative years. You have years that, in terms of time, are much longer, and you have these really rich memories that are in those formative years, your adolescence and your youth, your childhood, and then going into your early adulthood and all the way for the first 25 years, and so someone that had grown up with AM, FM, UHF, VHF, cable television, all these things here, you're going to have a different cultural experience of Netflix versus someone that this is their formative years and they remember these things. This is going to be with them, and it won't be for many, many years that back into the 2060s and 2070s that they're going to have a full disconnect like AM or FM radio with streaming video. So for here, it's new. And so all these different generations have different views about it. So you can also take that and look at, the popular culture and politics, right? Like why people who identify as Democrat or Republican may have a different set of views and ideals of what that means, because when were their formative years? When were their adolescent years? When did issues that deal more with parenthood or retirement become an issue for them? And how has that been sustained politically? You may be able to look at these graphs and be able to see the different generations that identify more or less with a movement or a cause because of these things. So anyways, I'm just starting off of this. I am going to have a way better way of visualizing this at some point, but this is what I started with. I actually didn't start with this. I drew it out on a piece of paper, and maybe I'll include that if I do like a multi-image post on a social media platform. But this is like the best early way of showing my idea. So I know I'm cutting this short, but it's because I'm interested in people's thoughts and ideas around this, and I'd really like to kind of get it out there and have people mull over it and see what they think, because it can be used for so many different things. I mean, it can be used for media studies. It can be used for health messaging and thinking about like My sister does informatics and health, in the health field. And I was thinking about myself as a diabetic, like when were, uh, when was insulin introduced? When was blood sugar measurement introduced? When was it introduced in the home? When was it able to be proliferated to pretty much anybody can take their blood sugar at any time? Blood sugar monitors, understanding your A1C. And again, at popular culture levels, at mass distribution levels where people were able to do this. And then looking at the age of the generation you're trying to reach at that time, and what would appeal to them in terms of messaging to get them to understand why these things might be of use to them. So anyways, and it can go on and on and on. So I'll go ahead and stop that. And I hope y'all are having a great day, and thank you for checking this video out.